Welcome. We're going to allow a couple of seconds to go by to let everyone into the webinar today. Hi, my name is Noemi Guevara, and I'm the Director of Alumni Engagement here at Cal State Long Beach. Thank you for joining us for this edition of our 49er Industry Chat. Before we start, I would like to inform you this session is being recorded and it will be available on demand on our website at www.csulb.edu/alumni. We also encourage you to use the Q&A box to submit any questions to our speaker today. And now I would like to introduce our moderator for the chat, Lucia Cos. Lucia earned her degree in Spanish in 1975. She was recognized as a distinguished alumna in 2005 and now serves on the CSUB Alumni Council. Lucia, thank you so much for moderating this chat today, and now I pass it on to you.
Great. Well, thanks. It's wonderful to be here. Monique Rodriguez is a proud graduate of Long Beach State, holding a Bachelor of Arts degree in recreation. She's currently the director of event sales for the Rose Bowl Stadium in Pasadena, California. She has been in the sports and entertainment industry for over 10 plus years, beginning her career in stadium event operations, transitioning to selling events in 2011. She has sold events for American Golf, Lucky Strike Entertainment, and the Rose Bowl Stadium. Most elite clientele, such as Amazon, Disney, Upfront Ventures, Nike, Target, NFL, AEG, Golden Voice, and MLS, to name a few. She has received several accolades in her industry, such as the top 40, under 40, Supplier of the Year, and most recently, in Post, I think that's most recently featured as Woman Trailblazer in Voyage LA magazine. Please welcome today's Industry Chat host, Monique Rodriguez.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
Thank you. Why don't we go ahead and get started, Monique, we know we have quite a few alumni, but some students as well. Maybe we can start with CSULB life.
Yes, I'm Long Beach State. I started in 2004 and immediately joined a sorority, Alpha Phi, Gamma Kappa chapter. And from there, my involvement with Long Beach State just flourished. I ended up joining President Ambassadors and Recreation Society. I heard before our call, we have a few different majors on board. I actually started at Long Beach State as a poli-sci major. And in my sorority, I planned a lot of events. And one of the seniors at the time said, "You'd be really great at that." And I never thought about that as a career. So I pivoted and joined, actually, it was a little bit of a mixture at the time, but recreation became my major. And dabbled in, I always thought I'd do more of campus recreation or corporate events. And it actually led me into sports and entertainment world because at the time, my internship that was made available was through the Rose Bowl. So I got to experience events in a sports stadium and I could never see my life elsewhere. I just kept going back to my foundation there, but CSULB took me to the Rose Bowl in an internship.
How did you get your internship there?
Yes, so as a recreation major, my internship coordinator at the time, there was a Long Beach alumni that had just been hired by the Rose Bowl and they were looking to start an internship program. So I was one of their first rounds of interns and it was part of a requirement to graduate and I got connected through our coordinator. And I know they're still very much involved. We have quite a few now 49ers on Rose Bowl Stadium staff that have filtered through not only rec department, but also through our sports management program for a master's degree. One of our chief development officer is actually a teacher for the master's program for sports management at Long Beach State.
That's great. Now, so you started off at the Rose Bowl even before you graduated, right?
Yes, I interned there. Yep, I did. started in event operations. I hit the ground running with them. It was more of setting up tables and chairs and fulfilling event orders of what customers needed. I did not have a sales background. I grew a passion for being behind the curtain and setting up rooms and making the event successful. And my career changed a bit once Rose Bowl is connected to a much larger property. Let me back up a little bit. It's connected to Brookside Golf Course, and they simultaneously, whenever a big event's booked, they take over the entire property, including the golf course. It's used for parking and fan fest areas. So I actually pivoted to get a full-time job with American Golf, and they took me under their wing. From there, I did golf tournaments in event operations, transitioned to, they felt I was best suited for sales. So I actually took my first sales venture under the golf industry, which I did not know anything about at the time, but I learned my way and did really well in sales. At that moment, when I hit my stride, the Rose Bowl actually had an opening in operations and called me back home. And so I went right back over and took a few years to learn event operations, but my sales arm kept pulling me the other way. And Lucky Strike Entertainment picked me up. My former boss from American Golf called me out that way and asked if I wanted to be a sales director for their company. And so I took that venture to Hollywood, tried my hand at sales. It was the best decision. It was a tough job. It was the best decision I made because I did learn a new strength. I was always told that a sales operation combo is quite attractive to employers. They're two very different worlds, and if you can understand them both, then you'll be very successful. So I learned that. It ended up being not the right fit for me, and I got a call a year later from Chief Revenue Officer at the Rose Bowl Stadium who called me back for an opening as an event sales consultant. And I took that in a heartbeat because I missed stadium events so much, and I loved that family environment. I was fortunate to be asked back for a third time. And I haven't left since with him. I've been back at the Rose Bowl for almost a little over 5 years now. So transitioned from consultant to director.
So Monique, can you talk a little bit about the importance of mentorship and networking? Because the fact that they called you back 3 times meant that you'd made some good connections, right?
Yes, yes. I always say never burn a bridge. So always leave on a good note, always stay organized, keep your folders together, make sure you have a good trail to pass on to your predecessor, keep great relationships, always have a mentor. At each job that I've gone through, even if it's an internship, I've always connected and stayed in touch with the one person that's guided me through the position. And to this day, I mean, I still have great relationships in each of those companies that I worked for. Lucky Strike ended up doing their annual sales conference with me right when I went back to the Rose Bowl. So it's really important for me to always maintain good relations with everybody.
Great. And do you find that you are mentoring others as well now?
Yes, yes. I had quite a few, and I always say pass it back down once you reach that spot. So when I started back up with the Rose Bowl, I started up internship programs of my own. Quite a few of my interns have become very successful and have already surpassed me, if I should say. One is in event operations with the Lakers. I'm super proud of him. And they just won a championship, as we all know. So that was really great to see him make great strides. I have others that are in all of the industries. We have SoFi Stadium, Clippers, in sports and football and basketball primarily, but in different entertainment event industry jobs as well. So I make sure to check in for them time to time. And whenever they need help or advice, I'm always a phone call or email away.
Oh, that's great. Now, we did have an early question that says, what does a typical working day look like for you? Oh, pre-COVID.
I was about to say pre-COVID.
Now we can talk post-COVID.
Pre-COVID. Oh man, I miss those days. That would just start day in the office, drive into the stadium, which is amazing to drive into an iconic venue such as the Rose Bowl. I'd never take that for granted. Go straight into my office. It might entail a few site visits where a client wants to come in and view the property to see if they want to host their event at the venue. And it contains a lot of follow-up calls and emails. I would say half my day is probably outside of the office, half of it was inside at my desk, getting out proposals and contracts. The outside part is the most fun, to take a client down to the field for the first time, or to go off site to take a client to lunch, or to go to another networking event at another stadium across town. Those were the good old days. Those were the regular 9 to 5. And sometimes they weren't 9 to 5. Sometimes you would have your event that would go until 11 o'clock at night, and you would check in with them from time to time and make sure that it was running smoothly. So every day was different. Every event is different. I could have an event in a parking lot, event on the stadium field, or in the locker rooms. It was quite fun, different variables back in the day.
What kind of a staff do you have when you're working? Who are you working with?
Yeah. So the Rose Bowl is actually a pretty small. We're connected to the city. We're City of Pasadena owned. So our staff is a little under 50 people. We outsource a lot of our help. So we work with ABM for a housekeeping company. We work with CSC for a security company. They're all very well known within the sports entertainment industry, servicing all the other major venues. So for events, my close-knit team is about 10 people that we all kind of trade off and run and oversee events. But at each event, we're outsourcing to different organizations to help us maintain the event and make sure that it's kept in tip-top shape.
So I've got another question. They're going for their master's in sports management. And we're wanting to know what made you transition from events and management to sales? And then there's another part of the question that follows on with a couple of other folks. So answer that first.
Gotcha. So I think like most when we get out of college, we're anxious to move up quickly, and operations it takes its time. It's which, there's beauty to that art. At the time, there wasn't an opening available in event operations. I think most people, especially now, but there's fewer job openings for event operations in sports entertainment. It's, I think, a very coveted position. And, you're out of college, you don't have insurance, you need a full-time job, you're off mom and dad's goodwill. So it just was the moment to make a shift to a job opening that was still in the sports realm. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try it out. I encourage people that are still in college to intern, to try your hand at everything. You can't mess up in an internship. They're there to learn. I'm really glad that by choosing a career in sales, it opened up other opportunities for me. And not only is now sales a strength of mine, but in sales, I got to learn more about marketing. So I would say, if you are, not a big deal, continue to pursue your passion. But I'm glad I wasn't stuck in one way of thinking, and I opened up to other options. It gave me more variety and more chance to pursue my passion and still be in the sports entertainment field. And because I had a little bit of event operation background, it's not to say that in my position as sales, I don't get to dabble in that from time to time. Since we are short-staffed, I do get to put on events here and there and help when we are short-staffed. So I still get a little bit of both. So I say, always be open to your options. That's what made me pursue it. And if I had to recommend anything, it would just to be open to your options and to continue to be a lifelong learner.
Were you vocal with your mentor and others that you were working with that were higher up than you in terms of what you wanted to do, or for advice on what's the best way to do this and such?
Yes. I remember when I got offered the position to go try my hand at sales through my general manager. He was very understanding, and at the heart of his event, sports entertainment soul was sales. He always has had a passion for sales. So he was always very supportive of either way I chose, and he could understand my decision to venture that way. So my mentors have always been very open, understanding, and helped geared me toward whatever my passion may be, and offered other opportunities too if I wanted to try it out with not just my general manager, but with other mentors I've had in other careers. If I wanted to try a day back out at their venue or try a different venue, I was always welcome to it. So keeping those relationships was really important.
So there's a couple questions that were related to all this is that they're wanting to pursue something with events management. Uh, and so it sounds like you took a more of a circuitous route to that because you learned quite a bit as you went along. So what
Yes.
would they're just saying what do you recommend, especially if they're doing a master's in sports management?
Well, I still stress internships. I had there was a young lady, she's in the, I don't know if she's still in it, but she was in the sports management program. Oh, it wasn't it? Yeah, she's in a sports management program, and she wasn't getting hired by anybody. We're in a pandemic, and so I have, since right now we're currently doing drive-in events because that's all that the health departments will allow. So we have a guest services internship open for those who wanted to try their hands at doing guest services for drive-ins. It's all about adaptability and being flexible, right? She's getting to come to our stadium a couple times a week. It's paid. It's not anything, you know, life-changing, but it's something to add onto your resume because I know there's kind of a stall in events, a stall in internships. So I know right now is kind of a tough time of what route to recommend, especially if you want to do event management, considering there are no events. If there are internships and you do have the availability to take it, do it right now while everything's on stop. Because when they do start back up again, you know, positions that used to take one person just because of COVID reasons, they need a backup. You know, we need a team A, team B, team C, because if one team goes out, we need to fill with the next, and we need understudies like we've never seen before. So I would say just right now, use this time to really hone your craft, get familiar with what's going on current day events, start reading some more books that are connected to our industry. If those internships aren't available to you, start reaching out to your people on LinkedIn, getting interviews with them one-on-one. Those are things I recommend for you to do right now, especially since we're kind of in a lull in the event industry.
Monique, I know you had a couple of clips you showed us for pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Yeah.
They might answer some questions that are coming up too. So do you
Okay.
want to?
Sure. Yeah, I have a 1-minute clip of the events I used to sell before COVID. It'll kind of give you a little background visually and then what I'm selling currently. So I'm happy to share. 1 moment.
Host your next event at the Rose Bowl Stadium. Multiple locations to choose from, events at the Rose Bowl Stadium capture the history of its iconic tradition of being America's stadium. Enjoy a first-class meal on the 50-yard line, build your dream food festival on the greens, or film a movie scene under the stars in our
Monique, if you could share your screen because we're not able to see it.
Yeah.
Well, there's that problem. Hold on.
Just roll with the punches, folks.
I'm sorry about that. I teased you with nothing to see.
It worked earlier, so.
Can you see my screen now before I
Yes,
get overexcited? Okay, here we go. Sorry about that.
there you go.
event at the Rose Bowl Stadium. With multiple locations to choose from, events at the Rose Bowl Stadium capture the history of its iconic tradition of being America's stadium. Enjoy a first-class meal on the 50-yard line, build your dream food festival on the greens, or film a movie scene under the stars in our Court of Champions. The Rose Bowl Stadium is perfect for any style event, and our dedicated event managers are here to deliver an unforgettable experience for you and your guests. Call now to book at 626-577-3100 or visit us at our website for a customized event request proposal at www.rosebowlstadium.com.
That's pre-COVID. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I don't even need these anymore then. Some computers work, sometimes they don't.
you never did.
Do you want me to do currently?
The post, yeah, what's going on now?
What's going on now?
That was a nice commercial too, in case you want to go to the movies.
There you go. Hold on, let me stop sharing my screen. There we go.
Right. So are stadium events different from doing events at a performance center or a street festival or parade? What's the difference?
Yes. So pre-COVID, I handle events that are under 25,000 people in capacity, and events at a stadium. Our stadium can hold 90 up to 100,000 guests. So doing events at our stadium are going to be significantly different than doing it anywhere else, not only for our capacity, but also our locations. You know, your standard ballroom, our ballroom is our field. Sometimes our reception areas, meeting rooms are in our locker rooms or in a suite overlooking the field. Or sometimes we're doing events, as you saw in the first video, on our golf course. So very creative, different, unique spins on events at a unique venue as a stadium, as opposed to Long Beach State, the Union, for example. So.
Now, I'm just going to assume that during Rose Bowl and all of the events there, you're intimately involved with all of that as well?
Yes. For Rose Bowl game, I usually take on the game presenting sponsor. They usually have some private parties for their guests, and I'll make sure that they get that one-on-one VIP treatment, and I put on my event operations hat for Rose Bowl game day. I used to, when I worked for American Golf, I worked on the school's alumni tailgates, and then in event operations, the year prior when I first started as an intern, I worked on the fan fest for the entire game outside stadium gates. So I've had my hand in a little bit of everything on campus. But,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say on game day, I more stay focused with the game presenting sponsor. And then my role varies for our major events. So when they're the big ones, we only get about 15 of those a year. Those are the UCLA games, the Rose Bowl game, your concerts and soccer matches. Because we're in a residential community, we are capped at that amount of events in that category. But for those specifically, I usually help with any of the sponsor parties or the VIP parties of the artists performing that night, or anything with the teams related to or concerts related to. Those are more of what I focus on for those events.
So someone's asking, what do you get the most joy out of? What really do you like? You know, what are your favorite events?
Oh, my favorite events. I have the craziest event stories with concerts. Those are the best stories. What I loved the most, my favorite events were filmings. Those were kind of, because they're all of your favorite sports stars, but in a more intimate setting because they're filming, just them with a Gatorade bottle or whatever have you. Those were fun. Current passions. I love when the most challenging for me are when they get above 10,000 attendees. That mark, we've done a few of my favorites where Target did a really cool launch with Hunter rain boots, and they did this amazing festival on the golf course, and they brought in a private entertainment stage, and they had One Republic perform and a few other well-known artists at the time, and it was intimate and community friendly and family, all the family feels. So anything that involves family and bringing people together, that large crowds, maybe I'm just missing it because of the pandemic, but that's what I miss the most. That's what I have the most fun at. I love seeing people's joy when they attend the events. I love seeing people light up when they're at the Rose Bowl. I love that feeling of them coming to me, telling me stories of their family and all the traditions that they've had and events that they experienced there. That's what brings me the most happiness.
So as the director of sales, do clients seek you, the Rose Bowl out, or do you need to go out and identify clients?
A little bit of both, but it's in the pandemic, it's been tough to keep up actually because there aren't many places in LA County doing events, drive-in events. So we haven't had a moment to really do any reach out because the influx of leads and calls coming through has been so heavy. But pre-pandemic, we did outreach. I'm still involved in a few outside organizations that help me connect to different meeting planners and network in that regard. I'm involved in WISE. It's a Women in Sports and Events organization. I'm also involved in MPI SCC. It's Meeting Planners International Southern California chapter. And then I have my hand in a few other nonprofit boards, but as stayed true to my 49er self, the way you can get the most out of life is to stay involved, to get involved, join your community that you're involved in. You're going to get the most out of it. So for those that are still at CSULB, if you haven't joined anything yet, you need to get involved. But this is a start because you're a part of a chat and you're hearing more from alumni and how great it all can contribute to your life and your career.
I noticed that you're also a Pasadena Chamber of Commerce member. Is that a good way to meet and greet and find customers?
Yes. Local business is always the best business. Yes, it is. Those are definitely all the feel-good ones. Pasadena is known for, I think, if not the entire country, definitely in California, one of the larger cities of nonprofits. We have several hundreds of nonprofits in the city. So a lot of those tend to go to the chamber events, and it's always great to hear their one-on-one stories and connect with them on a more personal level, and they usually are attending those. So the Chamber of Commerce events are very impactful and important to attend.
So while we're talking about the chamber, is that another avenue that some of the students might, because I think they do have junior chambers and they, they can look and see if there's events to go, because that's a great way to meet people as well, right?
Yes, very great way to network. I never joined a chamber. I didn't know about them before I joined the Rose Bowl. I didn't know that there was a junior chamber of commerce, but yes, if that is a source for them to tap into, then yeah, that's a great way to meet your city's, great bunch of people that are really invested in the community.
And also you were involved with the LA Tourism and Convention Board, right? Yes,
I am a member of them as well. You're just bringing all these good things to my mind. Yes, Visit Pasadena, I'm connected with them. They're the city's Convention Visitors Bureau, and also LA Tourism has their own. They're the most important, they are the heartbeat of currently what's going on. They're the ones that are providing me with all the current resources of where we're currently at in pacing for when are we going to get back up live and running with events. So they're the main trackers for me to stay connected with them, and their state of the industries has been crucial. But outside the pre-pandemic, they the same thing. They give the heartbeat of the city and what's coming into town, and definitely give an outlook of the next couple years to come of all the big events that are coming into the city and into the county. So yes.
And it seems like those would be two good resources, chambers in any city, and also the tourism and convention boards anywhere, really, to look on their websites and see what's up, so that when you do go and interview, right,
Yes.
that you kind of know what's coming up, and you're on top of it, and you can differentiate yourself from others that
Yes.
have been interviewed.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's something that you had to learn once you were in.
Yes.
That was like me too. I didn't know anything before I started working.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yes, my first job in sales, I had to learn that very quickly or I was going to sink. So yes, I do wish there was, maybe I probably was told by a professor to look into these things, and it never clicked until you're in the hot seat. But yeah.
Now, the sorority that you were involved in, what was that?
Alpha Phi.
Okay. And are there other on campus organizations for this arena that they might be interested in joining while they were there?
I know. It's, so I actually left campus technically around 2008, 2009. I see Joni Conley on. I'm not sure if she's still on, but she led me back to finish my degree in 2014. So it's actually been some time. I've heard that they were going to start up a major for events, and I'm not sure if that ever happened. I'm a little out of the loop on what currently might be on campus available to those, but I got involved with my major, my rec society. So I would say whatever your major is to get involved in whatever society that belongs to, because alumni of that, it all branches out to recommendations and connecting you to your own network within your major.
Now, you talked about the NameWise, the women in sports events.
Yeah.
One of the questions that just came up was, I'm interested, know your thoughts on being a woman in sports event sales. How have you been able to succeed and stay true to yourself in a male-dominated field and discipline?
Oh, that's such a powerful question.
I think so too.
I think that's been part of my success, is that I never sell something that I'm not passionate about myself. And I've always been true to what the client's needs are. And I guess when I was in sales, before I started sales, I thought about a car salesman type. I know that's a horrible way to think of sales, but they're actually really great people and you can learn a lot from them. But I never wanted to put that pushy person into a sale. And I think my clients can resonate with that. So I've been so successful in that I've been so genuine. And I'm not going to push them to sign if it's not the right fit for them. And if I see it is the right fit for them and they're not seeing it yet, then I genuinely find ways to connect it back to them, to make sure that they know that they're in the right hands with me, that I'm not just there for their money. I really genuinely feel their event is best suited at my venue, because I know that personally, the staff that we have there is like family to me. I know how great customer service we have, how great we're going to take care of them. I make them feel at home. When they step into the Rose Bowl, I'll make sure to turn on the marquee with their name or their company logo. I'll put wear their company colors for their site visit. I want them to know that I genuinely care about their event and about them as a person, to make sure that their event's a success and looks well on them. So I believe that sets me apart from any competition in the industry that I'm in, because I'm so genuine and carry that through and through. And it's worked for me, and I think I've done well.
Now, there's a question here, and I'm going to make it a two-parter. So what skills do you recommend students must have to enter a career in sales and sports and entertainment? Mm-hmm. And at the same time, or, speak to this as well, what was it that you wished you had skills in before you jumped into the internship?
Mm. Well, the first one, believe it or not, I was also in college. I was a hostess. I was in the service industry. I worked I also worked in parks and recs, but I would say would prepare you for service, for sales, for events, is to get a job. You'll be surprised at how many, I hear from a Clippers organization who hires sales quite often, that they actually, that putting a waiter on a resume actually triggers them, because you know how to upsell, you know, to a dessert or an appetizer. You know, you're a people person, you know how to talk to people. So I know, as silly as that may sound, I actually really do like that as a prep to entering the industry. I also would say in entering my internship with the Rose Bowl, and it still holds true to this day, it's still a very competitive market for an internship. I didn't just go in there from getting my degree and being part of Alpha Phi. All those things helped, but I also tried my hand at other internships before I went to the Rose Bowl. That was just the one that counted towards my degree. So I didn't just wait till it counted for my degree. I pursued internships prior to that. I pursued an internship within my own recreation department. I pursued an internship in a corporate events planning company over the summer. So I did take advantage. Like I said, I was in park recreation. I worked for City of Lakewood while in college as well. So I took advantage of opportunities leading into it. I didn't just jump right in. We find that when I'm looking through resumes for internships, if you're unable to do an internship based off of, you know, life circumstances, or you're working a job to pay for school, at least start taking classes that you can put on your resume that'll spark a person that's hiring to hire you if you're unable to get that experience. So I always say, you know, if it's an event management class that you're taking within your major, or a business class, a marketing class, those are tools that, like a marketing class, for instance, that's changing, evolving so quickly with all these Zooms and GoToMeetings and all these different virtual sessions. If you're going to bring something to the table on your resume through school, I would look that as high value, just as much weighted as an internship that you're doing in the field. So to prepare for an internship such as the Rose Bowl, start to get more under your belt on your resume before applying, because it is still a pretty competitive market.
So someone's saying WISE, I thought it was name WISE, but WISE, Women in Sports-ish, they're just mentioning, confirming with, you know, what you said.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic resource for professionals and students.
Yeah, I'm typing it in just so you guys have the right word. There you go.
Okay, did you hear it, what I asked?
Oh, sorry, I thought you asked to spell it. Sorry, repeat your question.
Oh, no, she was just saying, I think it's a woman, I'm not sure, that they're a fantastic resource for professionals and students.
Yes, both. There are quite a few student members in any of the organizations I'm involved in. Yes, there are a handful of student members in them as well.
And then with so many sports venues in the LA area, is there an organization that you belong to that shares the best practices that people that are looking at that industry can join?
If you're looking for event operations, I forgot to include, it's called International Association of Venue Managers, IAVM. That's another good one. They have a good local chapter, and they have really great connections to students that join the organization. So that's a really good one. I really like WISE, the great local chapter, great student involvement. There's curriculum of sales, marketing, event operations, all with, you know, broadcasting, all within that umbrella. Same with the MPI-SCC. I saw there was hospitality majors in there too. That's a huge organization for hospitality industry. Also another really good one.
So here's another question. Can you give some advice? I'm sorry, let me see. Yeah, for someone that's searching for new career opportunities, have you seen any kind of unique, not just opportunities, but some folks that have been able to get jobs or internships during the pandemic, and that's not the regular route? Have you seen any of that happening?
I hear
I'm
it.
curious too.
I know. I hear it. It's pretty tough right now. You know, we did cut our actual internship program because of the pandemic. The one that's in the office day to day, helping with the event operations and event sales marketing teams. We only have the guest services internship for events. So, and I've heard the same thing from all of them, that, you know, everything has been put on hold for now. So I unfortunately don't know. I would just strongly encourage to use this time to go on LinkedIn. I find that a lot of my colleagues have a little bit more time to be on there, and they're more responsive to what's going on. So, and I've heard that people have been providing good feedback to students that have been reaching out to them on LinkedIn. So, and that's the only way that if you're connecting with the professional, you'll be able to find what, their needs are. You may be flagged. Like that one student that reached out to me from sports management, she was on the lull of not able to find anything. And then, oh, it clicked. I'm doing drive-in programs right now. And so I offered her to interview, and she got on the team. So I would say, I don't think there's any postings to my knowledge. So I would just say, reach out on LinkedIn to your professionals and start asking questions.
Are there straight volunteer activities that can help people get their foot in the door at the Rose Bowl, or other organizations that do the same thing? Sometimes you can't get the money, but you can get the experience and the networking. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
think of anyone? Does Rose Bowl have straight volunteers?
Not in the pandemic.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic, yes.
Yeah,
I think we're
it's
just
hard.
a lot more cautious. Yeah, I know, it's tough.
I got another question. This is from someone saying, I got my on-campus event organization experience with ASI Beach Pride events located in the USU. I'm not sure how they are handling volunteers or event programs during this time. So I think that I saw this after I asked you that question. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
If you can get out to any of the food banks or anything, I'm just throwing a pitch in here, or places that are needing volunteers and that have like major folks funding them. It's a good way to meet people and do some good work. I don't know what else to say.
No.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
What are some future career aspirations you may have?
Thought about that over and over. Well, I had that path could still be in mind. I just had my son. So it changed my path a little bit. He's 1.5 currently. But my goal was I always wanted to work with the NFL. I always wanted to work a Super Bowl. I think now my goals have shifted a little bit. I want to eventually, in the next 5 years or so, reach an executive level. I know I'm in upper management, but an executive level position. I would one day love to get my master's, and I would love to go back and teach. I actually love giving back, and I love passing it down and mentoring students. So I know I do a few speaking engagements pre-pandemic at Long Beach State. I love to give back in that way, and any way I can be a resource, because it took a village to uplift me and bring me to where I'm at today. And it took really strong mentors, one who I saw is on the call today too. So I definitely owe it to a lot of people where I got. So that's my future goals.
Well, good. If you're doing things on campus, you should, when people contact you afterwards, they should ask you. So as a final last words, because we've got a couple minutes, I'll pull in the last question, was some advice for others on their way that you wish you had before graduating, and then your final words.
Advice that I have, advice. Well, I would say to be open to what comes your way. Don't veer too far off the path. Stay focused on what you really want, what you're most passionate about. When I was open, it opened up so many more doors for me, and I'm now able to dabble in all of my passions. And I think I got there because of me being open. I'd also say that my journey at Long Beach State was a long one. It wasn't your average 4 years. And I was always embarrassed to share that story. And I'm now finding at the age that I'm at that my story has inspired so many others. And so whatever your story may be, to always share it and pass it back down to somebody, because you never know how that's going to bridge the next person's life to the next step and accelerate them into their own successful future. So that's my tidbit.
Great. We've got maybe a minute. What's going on at the Rose Bowl in the next year? What's the news?
Yeah, well, we're currently doing a fair food drive-through this month. In the next year, gosh, I want that Rose Bowl game back. I was heartbroken that it wasn't with us this year and it was in Texas. We hope to, our CBB is telling us live events probably won't trend to come back until 2022, but we are hopeful to get some fans towards the end of 2021. Who knows, knock on wood. We should be hearing about UCLA's football schedule in the next week or two. So who knows what that will entail, if maybe one day that'll happen with fans this year, maybe not, I don't know. That's, unfortunately, if I had a better crystal ball, I would definitely share, but that is currently all that's on my plate. I hope to bring more. Oh, we just announced a drag show, a drive-in drag show in March. So little by little, people are booking month by month. They're still in drive-in model, but we're hopeful for live events to come back soon. It's sad to see such a big stadium empty, but.
Well, Monique, good luck to you. And we need to close off, but we'll turn it over to Noemi to do the sign off with all the listeners.
And I think we had one last question that we missed. Does the Rose Bowl have a foundation or partner with a nonprofit that people can get tickets for the community?
We do have the Legacy Foundation. It's a 501c3. That is our nonprofit arm. So anybody that's a part of a nonprofit that needs tickets for their foundations, you just mail in the letter and with your 501c3 certification, and we usually happily send back once we do have events.
Great. And then before we go, if there's anyone on the call that wants to connect with you, are you okay if they befriend you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's the perfect way.
Okay, so thank you. Well, Lucia and Monique, thank you so much. It was a great chat, great questions. Thank you for the video and the insight of what drive-in events look like right now during COVID. It was awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Just a reminder, this was recorded and it will live on our website. And we encourage you to follow us on social media to learn about our future programs. Thank you and enjoy your day.
Thank you. Go Beach.
Go Beach.
And then Monique, if you can just stay on the call for a minute while we close up.
Okay.